About to leave my room and go on a walk out in nature as I describe why I don't play games as much anymore. Because people always ask me, you playing any games? What games you playing? And I'm like, I don't really play games anymore. I don't have time to play games anymore. Games are mostly just a waste of time anyways. I think the main reason that games were so fun for me when I was around 17, 18, younger adult, early 20s, was because games back then had more of a sense of community with multiplayer. You got to meet people in the game. You had these interesting interactions, and now I don't really feel that way about games. I don't know if it's just me getting older or the communities themselves fracturing and being less of a shared experience and more of a people just on Discord or having 30 different tabs open or a video or a stream, and maybe the game is something that's just kind of occupying their hands while they focus on other things. It's just a form of stimulation rather than a meeting place or a community event or something like that. Something like that. I've definitely learned a lot of words through gaming terminology and RPGs and all that, but past a certain point you stop learning new things from playing games and you start to just use it as a way to pass time. And I guess if somebody doesn't have better ways to use their time, that's something to do, but there's way better things to do with your time. One of them is just walking around and experiencing life for what it is. Not always a good thing, not always a beautiful thing like this, but if you are lucky enough to live somewhere that you can access nature, I would say going out and walking is a great way to spend some time. It's hard to justify the time that it takes to actually learn a game and to play a game, especially if it's some new, well-designed experience. It takes a lot of effort to learn a new game, and then you got to think, well, what is the point of this? If it's not to socialize with other people, if it's not to learn something new, is there a point to learning the game itself? I remember playing League of Legends a lot, not when that was already lame. I mean, like when it was still cool and not that many people knew about it, like 2010, 11, 12, and I was like 16, 17 at the time, and I had this fantasy in my mind that one day I would get really good at the game and become an esports pro, and people would remember my username and I'd be known as this player doing this thing with these strategies and all that, and it was going to be this huge gaming scene and I was going to be part of it. And that never happened, and I kind of just realized, well, all I'm really doing is fooling myself into thinking I have a chance to be good at this game, but in actuality, there's 10 million people who are way better than me, who spend way more time or are just naturally better at the game or whatever it may be. So maybe that's not a competition worth trying to compete in. Maybe there's better competitions to spend my time in. Something that maybe I wish I learned sooner, but sometimes you have to just waste some of your time to learn a valuable lesson. I'm gonna go on this side over here. This is a riverbed. This is probably where I'm gonna be filming a lot of things actually, so get used to the environment. I spent a lot of time playing World of Warcraft, which is all about environments and exploring new areas. Or at least that's what drew me to it initially when I was a kid, but as I got older, World of Warcraft became more about the community. It became about meeting people, talking to them, playing with them, whether it's for, PvP or raids. You kind of just formed these teams with people, and sometimes you'd get to know them for more than just their character or their role in the game. And I think games like World of Warcraft have been really impactful for people, not just because the game itself is well designed and immersive, even though it is, but also because you form these long-lasting relationships with the people you meet through those kinds of games. Online games like Halo and other FPS games that were really popular, Call of Duty, I'm sure, for a lot of people, those games also lend themselves, or did lend themselves, to meeting new people and getting to know them. But again, nowadays, it just seems like everyone's off in their own world. There's nothing to ask someone in World of Warcraft, for example. You could just look it up. There's nothing to be curious about when it comes to what's the best strategy or the best optimal way to do this or that. It's all laid out for you. It's all the information. It's become so accessible that you don't really need it from other people. It's like min-maxing, where it's only about the outcome or the result. And you see this in games like World of Warcraft. You see this in MMOs where there's already an optimal strategy and an optimal way to play. And so people aren't really having fun. They're not really messing around. They're not really like hanging out. They're just either on there. It's almost like a job. Like they're treating the game like a job. If you are just treating games as a place to hang out and as a place to have fun, well, once again, real life is the best place. It's the best game. I mean, when you spend all that time on an MMO, for example, building up your character, making him better, I'm sure you've heard before, well, the real game is just real life, and that's the character you should be improving and making better. And yeah, it's just kind of a simple analogy, right? That life is a game, but really life is not just a game. It's a series of games. It's like right now I'm doing the record myself talking while walking outside game, but later on I might be doing the editing game or the standing in a bar and trying to make a connection with someone game. There's different kinds of games, social games, exercise games, all these different things. So when I say that life is the best game to spend your time on, I don't just mean a boring humdrum life. I mean a life full of activities and hobbies that are a series of interesting games with ideally some level of improvement that you can see within yourself. Like working out is a great example. And if you are maybe bored of games, or you do want to venture out into doing more real life activities, and maybe you're intimidated by going out on walks for whatever reason, working out at the gym is another great one. It's a classic example because it's something where you could very clearly see your own progress and your own improvement within just a few weeks even. And that's pretty rewarding. That's rewarding than a lot of RPG games, actually, where it takes months to get to the end game or to see any actual tangible results of progress. So it's, with most things in real life, obviously, you're going to have more patience. It's not going to be immediately stimulating and exciting as a lot of games are designed to be. But over time, that stimulation will be enough. And not only will it be enough, it will be much deeper and much richer than any game could possibly be, because you're using all your senses in this real life game. Right now, I'm focusing on my breath. I'm looking at the path. I've never even been on this path before. I'm just walking around. I haven't been on this specific route ever. And look at all these trees. Look at this. Look at these graphics. I mean, well, it doesn't look that good to you, but to me, it's pretty amazing. And it's the best part is we don't even have it fully defined. I mean, science would like to define the world around us completely, but this is somebody's house. Just calling all these things trees is a construct of language. Yes, they're trees. Yes, they're plants. It's organic matter. We have some idea of how these systems of nature are unfolding through science, but we don't have any answers as to why or what this is a part of. What is the greater design here? Well, what was there before all this? What created all this? Where did this come from? Why is it here? You know, existential questions. But that's for another video. I'm not going to get too deep into that. This is not a philosophy video, at least not explicitly. But yeah, that's, you know, so like this is like a save point. Like I can go rest there, sleep here overnight, get some rest, get back to full health, and continue the journey tomorrow. That's something I could do in this game. Let's continue on for now. It would be a tragedy to me if, as all this beautiful life is right here by my doorstep, I was sitting inside playing in a shoddily designed, limited virtual world that is not even very rewarding or fun. That would suck. And of course, not everyone has the luxury of living near a place this beautiful and this natural and all that. I understand that, but I mean, I've done similar stuff with walking around busy city streets, and you know, it's like you walk through a downtown area, that feels like GTA. I think my videos on LA kind of captured that, or at least that's the feeling I got when I was filming a lot of that. Is it feels like you're in a Grand Theft Auto simulation. And I mean, and worse, it's well, the bad part about cities, I guess, is that they're the gamified version of real life. Just like World of Warcraft and other MMOs have this min-max mentality when it comes to the player base, because all the information is out there. Real life is something similar, with really hectic cities and certain environments that are too, they're very transactional, and they're very based on money and numbers and time, which is again why I'm an advocate of walking out in nature, because there's not someone here trying to park their car or tow my car or charge me for walking here or yell at me for being on the wrong property. You know, and these things are not a big deal on their own, but the more concentrated the levels of transactions and bureaucracy and all that is, the more it feels like a gamified version of reality. And that's, I think, where the stress of living in cities comes from for a lot of people, certainly for me. I've actually never been on this path before. I've been down that riverbed, but I haven't walked all the way up here. This is like Breath of the Wild in real life. I always used to compare things in real life to how they are in games. Like, oh, this is just like that. This is just like Stone Talon Mountains in World of Warcraft. This is just like that one Halo level. This is just like Viridian City. Yeah, things like that. Which kind of just shows you how impactful it can be to grow up in those gaming environments. But yeah, this is way cooler than that. See, this is way better than Minecraft. Except the consequences here do bear some more weight. Yeah. Okay. If a creeper spots you in here, it's game over. Oh, and here's the loot. Some quarters and a lighter. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of silver, 2 pieces of copper. There's your loot for the quest. Amazing. See? Some people will say that we live in a simulation. And, well, it's certainly way better than any simulation we've ever made, or that we might ever make. So I just call it creation. And it's a mystery as to how we ended up here. So maybe with VR, you could simulate the sound of birds, the smell of trees after a nice rain, and the warmth of sunlight. But it's already right here. Why would I want to hide in a dark room, putting on an expensive or inexpensive VR headset to delude myself and live in some sort of construct of reality where some corporation wants to sell me an advertisement and some government wants to control what I think, when I could just go outside and experience it for myself and with others, with people I care about, people I love. I think that simulated form of this is devoid of love. That's what it's missing. Because no one who makes those games, nobody who makes those false realities, they don't know you, they don't care about you. And you might say, well, all this was here long before humans were, and so who's to say they care about you, or it cares about you? And, well, we're part of this, aren't we? We're certainly part of it. I don't think I want to be part of a simulation that's man-made. Because man chooses. Man chooses what he wants to do. And I choose this. This is the best game ever created. And you're experiencing it right now. Sometimes you just have to touch some grass to be reminded of that.